Open Zeppelin. There was some old Open Zeppelin account, and it still lives on GitHub. And the new Open Zeppelin assumes that the contracts that are in that, like in ERC20, for example, they are pointing to an old GitHub that is no longer active. So I had to like reroute the whole thing, get rid of a bunch of variables, rename a bunch of variables, and
yeah, I don't know, Dylan. I think maybe you're doing something wrong, because Open Zeppelin's the kind of like standard modules that you can import and implement in your own contracts. It's very active, and it's maintained by a huge community. So maybe take a closer look at how you're importing and implementing those methods. You shouldn't have to do that much kind of monkey patching to get Open Zeppelin contracts to work. But anyway, we can talk about that offline if you like.
Totally.
Okay. So Master, is that Lee?
Yes. Hey.
It is Lee. Hey Lee. John's here. Ganesh is here. Okay, so this week we didn't spam all the channels on purpose.
I see.
We didn't promote this meeting on Twitter and Reddit, and yeah, we were getting some spam last week, so we thought we'll keep it intimate. And this is being recorded anyway, so people can watch it async. The couple of issues I wanted to talk about today, and it doesn't look like Peter's joined yet, but a few folks, and Jonathan, you're the only one here that I haven't seen before. Are you participating in the hackathon?
I am, yes.
Okay, nice. Have you been paired with the team? What stage are you in?
Yes, we are Exchange DAO. So we're trying to build a cross-chain bridge with the Terra Challenge.
Nice. And how big is your team? How many people in your team?
4 of us.
Okay.
So we got two smart contract developers, one front end guy, and one girl helping out with the UI UX.
Okay. Very nice. Was it you who asked about the check-ins on Discord this morning? Anyway, someone asked if this meeting is mandatory and if it's part of the team check-ins, and the answer is no. This weekly meeting is really just open hours. It's to give developers to come in, meet the community, ask questions. But we are going to be sharing the process for team check-ins. That part you're encouraged, strongly encouraged to participate in. It's actually part of the judging process when the hackathon ends. So Peter is going to actually be sharing information about how you can do that. So Jonathan, if you want to let the team know that we're going to have these weekly check-ins where you basically just post an update on what was worked on that week, any challenges you run into, if you're blocked by anything. And this is really just to give us an opportunity to help you out if you're stuck, if you need resources or any help from the core team. So we can kind of be in contact. But keep an eye on that. I think Peter said he's going to share that info today or at the latest tomorrow. So that will be the check-in for the hackathon.
Thanks, Kev.
Yeah, no worries. So the thing that I wanted to cover today was that, and Jonathan, I'm curious, have you picked a track Like if you were to, you've seen the tracks that we have for the hackathon. If you were to kind of pick one of those, which one would you say best fits what you're working on?
The cross-chain one,
The
I
cross
believe
chain
we're
one.
going with the NFT for the sub theme. We're going with the DAO one.
Okay, very nice,
Yeah.
very nice. That's going to be great. Yeah. So what we've done is Jack and John on the call here have spent the last few days meticulously going through some of these tracks and creating spotlights, just some ideas around what a project in those tracks would entail, some examples of other projects who are doing similar things. So I wanted to, and since this is recorded, it's going to be very valuable for people who watch this later on YouTube. I wanted to hand it off to Jack and John, who can just briefly walk through some of the tracks and where you can find this information in case you need inspiration on things to work on, and whatnot. So Jack, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gil. That was that's a really key point here, because there could be folks that signed up for the hackathon and may not necessarily have some real world ideas in their head, or they may have some. These spotlights are meant to be inspirations rather than suggestions on what could be possible. I think John's gone through and done a lot of it. If you want to go look at it, it's at talk.harmony.one, and it's under the hackathon group. So I'm going to post that link here. And John, in a moment, I'll hand over the mic to you to probably walk through all of the tracks. We've put in quite a number of suggestions in a number of different tracks, and John's done a great job in also deciphering and putting in a lot of inspirations based on a lot of the research he's already done. For example, I think some of the things around on-chain wallet, Web2, or regional related work for cross-border. So John, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Sure, sounds good, Jack. And I might just share my screen and actually walk through a couple of the sites and places that people can go to get some information here. So let me just share. And okay, you guys can see my screen. It's got the Harmony One repos on it. Yep. Okay. Let me just get this out the way. Cool. So for starters, hack.harmony.one, Giv's done a great job, and Peter and the whole team have done a good job of putting all the pertinent information here, including the calendar, the teams, sort of information about the hackathon there. There's a couple of places on docs.harmony.one, which is also worth checking out. Recently, we put a bit of work in to basically have a look at the whole Harmony ecosystem, which is growing very rapidly. So it's really exciting to see just how quickly this is growing, and the momentum that the ecosystem has. And so in this site here, you'll see different layers of Harmony Stack, and you'll actually see two columns here. Some of the existing projects which are already in place, and then on the right are some of the ideas for future projects that are of interest to Harmony. So these are good places to come to as well if you're looking for sort of other areas around projects. And as a developer, we've also got a list of sort of deployed contracts. So this will sort of help you if you're looking to sort of integrate with existing sort of DEXs, or looking sort of to see what tokens are out there. This site's useful for that. Now, over the last week, as Jack and Giv mentioned, if you come here to talk.harmony.one, this is where all the challenges for the hackathons are. So if we start off, there's actually 12 tracks, and then there's like a number of challenges from our partners here as well. So if you start off, say at track 1, which is cross-chain liquidity, you'll see at the top, you'll see a highlight. basically what the track is about, giving information on the track. And then we've added some more context to that. So we sort of talk about that. Usually there's a couple of sections here. There's the strategy. So what is the vision for sort of cross-chain liquidity? And then there's some examples and references of some ideas here. So for instance, like if you look at say fixed rate income, we'll see a tweet here from Stephen about sort of the vision for fixed rate income and how sort of like yield engines can empower that. As well as that, you'll see some developer guides here. So basically this will take you to various developer guides for Harmony. And then the hackathon repo is another good place to check out. It has a list of the various tracks, and then it's a work in progress, but there's also here examples and references. But really we encourage you to sort of work on or sort of post things here on talk.harmony.one. So basically it'll be there and you'll have information that you need. Now, as you engage the team, another critical thing is Discord, where you've got the hackathon announcements, the hackathon introduction, team formation, if you're looking to put your teams together, and then any questions that you may have. So this is a really great place to sort of engage with, but not only the Harmony team, but other people who are developing or sort of helping with the team formation. And given Jack have done a lot of work on helping out with the team formation there. So, so a little bit of a deeper dive on track one, cross-chain liquidity. There's been a fair bit of work done. One of the key things for the cross-chain stuff is effectively the Harmony bridge, which allows you to sort of transport tokens or from either Ethereum or Binance Smart Chain to Harmony. So as we build bridges, this is one of the key infrastructures that we have. Now, on top of that, we're actually been working on a flow which allows you to take bridges from say ETH all the way over to Binance. And so there's an API being developed out for that, which there'll probably be a bit more documentation on, but it actually, if you look at this picture here, it sort of talks about how you can move a token from Ethereum all the way through Harmony over to Binance by using one of the DEXs or AMMs in the middle. And this is sort of a prototype to give people an idea who are building some sort of cross-chain things, so some of the tooling that's available there. And we're hoping that people will sort of take this and sort of start running with their own ideas as they go forward. And then on here, there's a link to the Gitcoin, which is also a great place where you can go and sort of see all the prizes which are out there. Now, if we look at the Hackathon Explorer here, you can see in detail the 12 tracks plus the 4 partner rewards, which are out, 4 partner or 5 partner challenges, which are out here. And so you can sort of do a deep dive there as well to sort of see the tracks and a bit more information there. And sort of another good place for developers to check out. So I don't know if we've got time to do a deep dive on all the 12 tracks, but once again, if you sort of come to the hackathon here, we can run through them at a high level. So if you look at the themes are broken into the 4 tracks. So I think there's 3 themes which get broken down to 4 tracks. So cross-chain liquidity is the first one. Middlewares, which Jack put up and here. So you'll see here something about analytics, charts, outposts, and things like that. And then once again, this will take you over to Gitcoin if you want to go there for more information. And then cross-chain DeFi NFT DAO. Jonathan, this is probably the area that you're interested in. So what you'll also see in some of these are some of these research repositories. So for instance, the DAOs, there's talk here about sort of the Tribute DAO, DAO 101, DAO Landscape, and so other research material. Some of these are sort of more fleshed out than others. This one's got a fair bit of information, so some good contextual information there for people as well. Track 4, cross-chain. Ganesha put a lot of work into this. Ganesha, I'm not sure if you want to add anything to this cross-chain talk. I'm assuming not so, but if you look here, he's got a lot of information about cross-chain, the platform, networking, the EVM, and some of the cross-chain bridges that we're looking at. So obviously we're connected with Binance and Ethereum. There's work going on sort of Bitcoin and some of the other sort of platforms as well, sort of to really expand that inclusive environment. Track 5, on-chain wallet and front ends. Jack, do you want to add anything to this?
So I think this is written up by.
Oh, I suppose I did this, so probably not.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
sorry. So once again, a standard format: strategy, examples, developer guides, the hackathon repository. And sorry, just back to the hackathon repository for a second. You'll also see in here under the projects some sample code that you can actually use. Most of these are sort of fairly beginner sort of tutorials and stuff to get you started. And in the actual talk.harmony 1, you'll see links to more sort of deeper research and repositories for sort of existing projects or some research that's been going on there, right? And then you'll always have the developer docs and how to get started and APIs and things like that. So there's a number of ideas about how we can make basically with the front end, we're looking to sort of drive mass adoption and ease of use for wallets, as well as sort of integrate things such as sort of social recovery, and potentially some fixed income stuff in there as well. Track 6, on-chain wallet. This is more sort of how you integrate Web3 side of things, composable authentication, social on-chain recovery. Once again, these are relevant pieces here, and they link back to the Gitcoin. Track 7, the on-chain wallet Web2. This one, I think, Jack, you did, so maybe you want to speak to this one.
Yeah, so for on-chain wallet, so there are currently a lot of users have issues trying to actually onboard to crypto in general. So, you know, using MetaMask today, there's like, even for developers, there's so many different calls to complete one transaction or one smart contract transaction. So it's really difficult, and you know, these are meant to say sort of help inspire folks to say, hey, you know what, there are all these use cases. What about a real world use case of, you know, we're not trying to replace like Amazon.com or in terms of the payment process, but how about a WordPress plugin using WooCommerce, for example? That's Harmony that's being built right now. And how about BitPay, Shopify integration? So things like that connects to real world use cases. So how can we do that? If you're looking for more digital solutions, there's also other things that's more novelty, like the tip bot that the Ripple community kind of worked on. So for example, if there's a really great tip, great tip that you saw on a tweet, how can you tweet? How can I tip somebody using Twitter or whatnot? So there are things like that that's sort of kind of fun to play with. You know, let's see where we can carry that.
Sounds great. Yeah, that's a really exciting area, which and there's a lot of opportunities there. If we look at track 8, on-chain wallet security. So here, once again, a lot of stuff on composable authentication. One of the things is basically, if you look at this sort of picture here, is sort of really making it simpler to use, and basically how you go about signing and sort of the security side of things for that. So a big focus of this initiative is wallets and sort of ease of use for people to actually get into crypto, once again, to drive sort of mass adoption for crypto. The other theme is around cross-border or cross-finance. So the gateways. So this is really around sort of payment, linking sort of traditional finance to decentralized finance. So you'll see a number of sort of links here to sort of some of the existing fiat on-ramps, as well as some ideas here, once again, strategy and examples there. So give you a good idea of sort of what we're thinking, but it's really sort of integrating decentralized finance with finance to make the ability to payments across borders really simplified and sort of a lot cheaper and more effective. Track 10. Track 10 sort of talks about some of the corporate stuff as well. So for instance, like if you're looking to pay people or sort of international remittances, some of those areas are part of the strategy there. So, and if you look here, banks, testnet, blockchain for settlement, Stripe for saving, so payment wire and cookbooks are some of the other things which are included in there. Track 11, cross-border regional. So this is sort of more within a region. Basically, once the payments are going across the border, how do you actually start to use those within your local region? And then you'll basically, once again, strategy, always check out the strategy. It gives you a good idea of sort of what Harmoney's vision is for these tracks and how you can build upon them. Track 12 is the last track, and this is more about social impacts, right? So the real value of the business can try and innovate for our consumer and marketplaces and social incentives on blockchain, so radical markets. So really sort of breaking down the friction and reducing sort of the middle layers of interactions between people using marketplaces and sort of social impacts to social good as well as part of this area. And then apart from the 12 tracks, we have, as we said, a number of challenges from our partners, including Hashkey. So basically, DeFi liquidity is some of the stuff that they're very much interested in. Chainlink, whose oracles basically price oracles and integrated, so how you can actually use those price oracles as part of the ecosystem. Matter Capital. So basically, these guys, in short, we want you to disrupt online platforms, including providing marketplaces to sell revenues and contract receivables. So basically, a great sponsor and definitely worth checking out that challenge. Terra, basically wanted to extend the stablecoin adoption, asset management, crypto native primitives, and sort of for the advanced developers, they've got a couple of initiatives here. So Terra is another great partner. And then finally, Sushi. There's probably you probably heard about Sushi being on Harmoney and some of the additional liquidity incentives here. Their challenge is very simple: just build the best product you can using Sushi on Harmoney. So very straightforward. So that's pretty much it. There's also sort of other areas in the ecosystem around bounties and sort of other options moving forward for the hackathon. The thing I'd like to say is that this hackathon is just a starting point. And if you actually look at the prize structure on Gitcoin, you'll see that there's follow-on prizes after the hackathon to really help and sort of grow not just a coding hackathon, but turn it into a real product with real users and really drive adoption. So Harmoney's looking to help all the way through that. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Give, and away you go.
Thanks, John. Yeah, that was fantastic. For anyone who is watching this video later on, who's maybe trying to come up with ideas still, I know the folks on this call are already paired up on a team and they're up and running. Actually, Sev, are you part of a team? I'm curious, are you still looking for a team to join? What's your status right now?
No, I found a team. And
Nice.
we're working on the Matter Capital Challenge.
Very nice.
Yes.
Great. So, Peter, I'm not sure if you were in this call earlier, but a couple of folks have been asking about the check-ins, and there was some confusion around whether this dev meeting is the check-in. So I wanted to see if you can just give everyone a high-level explanation of how the check-ins are going to work.
Yeah, for sure. First off, I love Jonathan Liu's your Zoom avatar there. Congratulations on the baby. That's awesome. Yeah, we are. One of our goals is to make sure that for every team that registers and is working on a project, that each of the teams is successful. And one way we'd like to do that is to work really closely with each team. And so we've come up with this idea of a check-in, and we'd like to do 3 check-ins during the next 40 or so days of the hackathon. And to encourage check-ins from the teams, what we'd like to do, and I'll make an announcement in Discord and on Gitcoin a little bit later today, is that for each check-in that you do, you get an additional point. And how do these points work? Well, at the end of the hackathon, we're going to have a very simple kind of scoring sheet that we're going to give the judges. And the judges are going to, evaluate your project, your submission, based on a simple rubric, and which will end up in some points. And then for each, and part of that is how many check-ins did you do? And so you can earn at most 3 points, since there's going to be 3 check-ins for the next 40 or so days. And so it's totally optional, but it's to your advantage because you get additional points, and you also you'll be able to get kind of really hands-on coaching and help from the team. And so that's what we'd like to do. And so I'll make an announcement of that later today. Now, the process, and I'll post this in Discord and on Gitcoin, is we'd like for you to do a check-in on our forum. We'll point to where exactly you need to go. And there's a template there that Give created that will just ask for simple, basic kind of questions, typical questions that you'd see, like if any of you have been involved in like a Scrum stand-up, how's the project going? Any challenges that you're facing? What help do you need from us? And those types of things. And so it's a very simple check-in, but it gives us a pulse on how your team is doing, what you need, and how we can help you. And that's really it. Again, I'll make an announcement in Discord and on Gitcoin later today on that.
Very nice. Thank you, Peter. Yeah. So, those were the main things we wanted to talk about. And, I'm curious, Jonathan and Sev, Dylan, as you're working through your projects, are there any sort of challenges, any kind of bottlenecks you're running into? We're trying to kind of get a better understanding of what the experience is like for developers who are going through this hackathon right now, and any areas of improvement, things we can tweak and make things easier for you. Just curious to get your thoughts on how it's going. How are you coping?
So it's still a bit early. We're kind of in the architecturing phase right now. I guess what I can say, the biggest challenge that we're having is that half of the team is based in California, and the other half is in Singapore. So just a time zone thing, and everyone is kind of. I'm the only one that is kind of doing this full time because I'm unemployed, and the rest of them have jobs. So that kind of balancing is a bit challenging as well. Not that I'm complaining, but yeah, I mean, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know a lot of the folks have day jobs who are kind of just doing this on the side in the evenings, weekends. So that's always going to be challenging with distributed teams like that. Sev, what about yourself?
Yeah, facing the same issue. Like my project partner is based in San Francisco, and yeah, so the good thing is we have a really good separation. Like he will do most of the blockchain Solidity stuff, and I will focus on the Web3 and the front end stuff. So I think that will work out really, really well. And we have like a really similar view of the project. The main issue for me was really finding a team. It was really difficult because you had all those channels, and also because you have different time zones and everything, there was no place to get together really. And so I spammed every channel and was like, oh, connect with me.
Right.
And I had some meetings with some nice folks, and I hope to interact at some point again with them, get feedback or something. Yeah.
Nice,
but so far it's working out.
Great, yeah, and these check-ins will allow us to work even closer with you, just to find out if there are any areas we can help with. So yeah, please do that. Dylan, any feedback from your end?
Yeah, so it's been a bit bumpy because I'm coming in not ever having built a full like a full stack application. So when I look at the whole roadmap of what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm slightly guesstimating. Every single day I work on a lot of things, and I've been lucky to have the time that I have had for the past week because, I empathize. I'm also right now in the time being unemployed, but I'm doing this, hundreds of hours a week, even when I was employed, and I'm going to be employed by next week again. So I'm not going to have as much time. So really what I want is a whole roadmap of how am I going to deploy this, and how am I going to make everything work together? Because I'm pretty far behind as far as knowing how everything works. I'm going through the learning curve of just about everything. I don't know anything about React, and I'm having to learn React on the spot. I don't know anything about Solidity, and I've had to force myself to learn Solidity in a month. And that's the same thing for everything. So I've asked Sev to help me out on the front end because I didn't know any JavaScript. That's how I've been building this project. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just looking at things. And if I can understand what the roadmap is, I'll learn it, I'll implement it, and I'll try to get as far as I can doing that.
Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of folks are coming into this hackathon as well as as a way to learn about Web3 development, and that was really one of the goals as well, is to encourage and welcome Web2 developers to come in and implement some of those ideas that they've developed through their experience on Web2 traditional finance and into kind of Web3 development. And also, Dylan, I mean, my advice would be that there are a lot of other developers that are looking for projects to join. So start recruiting, right? Like reach out to developers that you feel have the skill set that would benefit your project and bring them on board, right? I think if you can divide and conquer, your life will become much easier and you'll be able to hit those milestones. Because it definitely feels like there are more developers than there are teams. So I'm sure you'll be able to find folks who would be willing to jump on and help you out.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. So anyone looking to help, I'm definitely open for it.
Yeah, I was going to say there are a few folks that introduced themselves recently. That channel just opened up. So, and then Jonathan shared his experience as well. Sounds like it's a matter of timing and luck. So there are a few that's out there sort of hovering at the sidelines, maybe a bit too shy to say something. So maybe when you introduce yourself, you could proactively put something out there and maybe find a teammate or teammates.
Yeah, and it helps to kind of articulate your vision and the project, be it on the forum or actually submitting your project so it's published on Airtable on the Hack website. Then you can just point people to it and say, hey, I'm working on this. Are you interested? I'm looking for, I don't know, Solidity developers. And kind of network that way, because it is a lot to do. And we always talk about, we don't discourage one-person teams, but we highly encourage that you do find at least one or two other people to help you out, because the best projects come from collaboration like that. So
definitely, yeah. The team that I'm working with right now, it's they're great. They support everything that we do, but they're also just as new. And I believe it's like we can have 4 spots, and we have all three besides myself covered. So, you know, I have a 4-man team, but the thing is that we all went in as novices to Web3, and I am leading the charge as far as how we get it done and when we get things developed. So that's why I'm more curious about what is like a roadmap as far as how this whole thing is eventually deployed. You know, I was on the developer chat in Telegram, and I was saying, hey, you know, how is it that, you know, Postgres SQL gets implemented in a website? Because I'm trying to think of a couple of steps ahead. Or, you know, what server am I going to be sending this to? You know, how do I link up to IPFS? Because I know in 3 weeks, once I get over this little hump, I'm going to have to deal with that challenge and the next one and then the next one. And I'm just trying to get a layout of what's to expect and how do I do some of these things. And I am looking for help for people to jump in to take a look and to see what's going on. But that is my challenge. You know, I have my whole team is essentially new at creating applications. They were actually mainly people who did lesson plans, because that's literally what my project is about teaching people how to do these things. And so they're curating lesson plans. They're not necessarily developers. So, and neither can I call myself a full stack developer at all, because I've never done it. And that's mainly been the challenge. So yes, splitting up the work with other people is definitely something I need to do. I just don't know how to give those roles out to people quite yet. I'm learning, and I am asking for help.
Yeah,
I'm open to it. Yeah.
The only thing I'll add is that, you know, this hackathon is really intended to bootstrap and launch these projects. You're not expected to be production ready by the end of the hackathon, right? It's not realistic for a you know, a sophisticated application to be built in such a short period of time. You know, there'll be a proof of concept, something that people can demo and you know, judges can look into. But we're really thinking about this long term, right? Which is why we are allocating funds to further nurture and grow companies who want to turn this into businesses, right? This is a startup accelerator, if you like. And the real work only begins after the hackathon, right? So that's all to say that, you know, don't feel like you need to be production ready by the end of the hackathon. Think about this long term.
That really actually kind of calms things up, because I thought I had to get this done and have like 100 users in a month. It was.
Oh no. In fact, you know, the fund for post hackathon, the incubator DAO that's going to be managing the fund has some very specific milestones around getting your product onto mainnet, getting a certain number of users. This all happens after the hackathon, right? So your goal is to build a proof of concept, right? To assemble this team, build something that will demonstrate what problem it is you're trying to solve, right? And the judges need to be able to see the potential in that, right? And that's how you're going to get judged. It's not by how many users you have on the last day of the hackathon. That's not the goal.
Got
okay.
it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Right, and Dylan, and everyone else that may be watching this asynchronously, that's what we're here for. Reach out to us on @harmony-eng. I put the Discord handle there. I think Jonathan also volunteered his time. Yeah, we're here to help. So if needed, you know, put your mention us there, and then we can take the conversation offline, help you resolve and unblock any technical issues that you may have, or any questions that you might want to sort out. And that's what the hackathon is all about. We are creating an ecosystem and a time and space where developers can come together and exchange ideas, also unblock themselves and learn about what Harmony can do as a platform. So yeah, just want to put it out there.
Yeah, and do take advantage of that voice channel as well. If you just want to hang out and talk, vent, whatever it is you want to do, that's a really good place just to drop into and speak to other developers, and you'll find out, you know, like here, Jonathan is kind of in the same boat as you, Dylan, is, you know, it's just learning Solidity. So I'm sure a lot of good things can come from that sort of communication. Okay, so I think we can wrap up. Any other lingering questions before we wrap up this meeting? Jonathan, Sev, Dylan. All right.
Nope, not for me. All
Okay.
good, thanks.
Of course, yeah. Well, you know where to find us. Like Jack said, we're always available. Feel free to ping us on Discord, and we'll help you the best we can. And best of luck. Keep an eye out for Peter's instructions on the team check-ins, and we'll hopefully see you all next week.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Take care
Bye.
all. Bye.
Thank you.